Welcome. Today we're going to be doing a thorough examination of the life and the tragically short but really immensely influential career of the American actor and dancer Cameron Micah Boyce.
Hmm.
When you look at the collected evidence, the articles, the interviews, all the production notes, the sheer volume of work he completed in barely a decade, it's just
Remarkable.
It is, and it's coupled with this extraordinary dedication to social justice. It just presents a remarkable portrait.
It truly does. This isn't just, a simple biography. It's a profound story of potential that was so rapidly realized and then so suddenly interrupted.
Right.
Our mission in this in-depth analysis is really to synthesize these extensive facts, meticulously tracing his rapid ascent in Hollywood, understanding his artistic growth, and then focusing heavily on the deep and lasting impact of his humanitarian efforts.
And we must, of course, approach the circumstances of his passing with factual clarity and the utmost respect, detailing the confirmed medical findings.
Yep.
So let's start with the core timeline. Cameron Boyce was born on May 28, 1999, in Los Angeles, California. He stepped into professional work in 2008.
So young.
So young, which means he was active for just over 10 years before his passing on July 6, 2019, at the age of only 20. That short timeline, it provides the immediate context for his meteoric rise.
It does, and that context becomes even richer when we begin to explore the foundational elements that shaped him long before he became known on the screen. Before we look at any credit list, we really need to spend time understanding the unique background and heritage that grounded his identity.
And that's exactly where we'll start our first comprehensive section, focusing on his early life, his roots, and the profound legacy inherited through his family.
The information available points to a truly dynamic and diverse family history. Cameron Boyce was born to Victor Boyce, who is African-American, and Libby Boyce, who is Jewish.
So a blend of cultures right from the start.
A very noteworthy blend. But the historical lineage on his father's side connects him directly to a monumental and deeply courageous chapter in American civil rights history.
You're referring to the story of his paternal grandmother, Joanne Boyce, née Allen.
Yes.
For those who might be unfamiliar, connecting Cameron to the Clinton 12, that elevates his personal narrative in a significant way.
It's a crucial insight. Joanne Boyce was one of the Clinton 12s, and the historical significance here, it just cannot be overstated.
Wow.
These were the first African Americans to attend an integrated public high school in the southern United States.
And this wasn't happening in some peaceful vacuum.
Not at all. It happened in Clinton, Tennessee in 1956. This was just 2 years after the Brown v. Board of Education ruling attempted to mandate school desegregation.
So this was an incredibly dangerous act of civil disobedience and just sheer courage at a time when racial tensions were boiling over. Massive resistance to integration was the norm across the South.
Exactly. What does the research tell us about the risk they faced?
Well, the sources make it clear that this integration was met with extreme hostility and violence.
Right.
The Clinton 12 were effectively trailblazers who endured intimidation, threats, physical danger, all for just exercising their legal right to an education.
To have that kind of history, a history of actively participating in a foundational struggle for social justice, so recently woven into your family's story, it must create an intrinsic understanding of the cost of activism.
It fundamentally grounds his identity. It suggests that the passionate commitment to social change he would later exhibit, it wasn't just a choice of convenience for a celebrity.
No, it was in his blood.
It was potentially a continuation of a family tradition of fighting for what is right, regardless of the personal risk.
And we should also mention his heritage also includes his paternal grandfather, who we know was from the Caribbean, adding another complex layer to his cultural background.
So, transitioning from that deep history to his more immediate personal life, right before his passing, we see the typical markers of a young adult moving into independence.
Mm-hmm. The material shows he grew up and lived in the Los Angeles area with his parents and his younger sister, Maya. This was his base of operations, really, throughout the most intensive years of his early career.
But just 2 months before his death, in May 2019, the sources indicate a major life change occurred. He moved out of the family home.
Yes. He moved in with 2 of his close friends and former Disney co-stars, Karen Brar and Sophie Reynolds.
That's a huge step for anyone.
It is. This transition, moving into an apartment with roommates, it's a common milestone for anyone turning 20. But for someone whose life was so heavily scheduled and managed by a demanding career, this represented a significant step toward personal autonomy and young adulthood.
Which makes the subsequent tragedy even more poignant.
Absolutely.
So if his family history provided the context for his later, political and social identity, his physical training really provided the foundation for his artistic identity. The research strongly emphasizes that Cameron Boyce was a deeply dedicated and extensively trained dancer, first and foremost.
His training repertoire was surprisingly vast. It highlights a commitment that went far beyond any casual enthusiasm.
What kind of styles are we talking about?
The training he received included breakdancing, which the records specifically identify as his favorite style, alongside hip-hop, modern dance, jazz, tap dance, and even classical ballet.
Wow. That blend from the rigorous controlled technique of ballet to the raw freestyle kinetic energy of breakdancing, that speaks volumes about his versatility as a performer.
It does. It suggests a performer who could adapt to any choreographer's demand, which would certainly be necessary for the large-scale Disney musical productions that were to come.
And this wasn't just individual training, was it? He was involved in the more communal, competitive side of the art.
That's right. He was a member of a specific breakdancing crew known as X-Mob.
X-Mob.
The crew consisted of him and 4 of his friends. And, being part of a crew environment teaches collaboration, synchronization, the ability to perform under pressure, all skills highly transferable to the demands of film and television production.
This combination of classical discipline and street performance versatility really set the stage for what we're looking at next. The child star breakthrough, covering the years 2008 through 2014. What's most striking is how immediate and broad his career was at the age of just 9.
It's highly unusual. Many child actors, they focus on one specific avenue, maybe commercials or a small TV role. But Boyce was immediately visible across music, television, and film.
His debut came in May 2008 in a music video.
For That Green Gentleman, Things Have Changed by Panic at the disco. He played a younger version of the guitarist, Ryan Ross.
That's a very high-profile way to start, even if it was a brief appearance. His television debut followed just a couple of months later in July 2008.
He secured a recurring role as Michael on the soap opera spinoff General Hospital, Night Shift.
But the real indicator of his early range came that fall.
It did. That fall of 2008, he launched his feature film career with 2 remarkably different roles. He had a starring role in the horror film Mirrors.
Mirrors, right?
And he appeared in the mystery thriller Eagle Eye. Horror and suspense are demanding genres for any actor, but especially for a 9-year-old. It proves that casting directors already saw him as capable of handling complex emotional material, not just light comedy.
The narrative then shifts to the connection that truly catapulted him into the mainstream consciousness, especially in the world of major motion picture comedy.
The relationship with Adam Sandler.
Exactly.
That professional bond started in 2010. Boyce was cast as Keith, the spoiled, sort of comedic son of Adam Sandler's character in the massively popular comedy Grown Ups.
And this wasn't just a bit part, it was a key supporting role in a major ensemble studio comedy.
A huge ensemble. It exposed him to a massive audience and, crucially, immersed him in a professional environment with comedy legends.
Working alongside people like Sandler, Chris Rock, Kevin James, at that impressionable age, that must have been a masterclass in comedic timing and just the rhythms of a major film set.
And it's also important to note that this was a durable relationship. It wasn't a one-off.
Right.
He returned to the role 3 years later in 2013 for the sequel, Grown Ups 2. Maintaining that relationship and securing a repeat role in a high-grossing franchise, it provided tremendous stability and visibility during what is often a very turbulent transition period for child actors.
So having proved himself in feature films, it just seems inevitable that the powerful Disney Channel ecosystem would integrate him into their stable of talent.
It was the next step. He had several introductory appearances before he landed his career-defining series.
He built up some familiarity first.
They did. In April 2011, he was a guest star on the Disney Channel's Good Luck Charlie. He was also a featured dancer on ABC's Dancing with the Stars during a royal wedding tribute that month.
I remember that.
And then that summer, he had a small role in the family film Judy Moody in the Not Bummer Summer and appeared as a featured dancer on Shake It Up in August 2011. These appearances were essentially stepping stones.
And then came the moment that truly defined his image as a global Disney star, his starring role as Luke Ross on the series Jessie.
Yeah.
What makes this casting particularly fascinating, according to the research, is the production insight surrounding the creation of the character itself.
This is a powerful anecdote.
Yeah.
It really demonstrates the immediate magnetic quality he possessed. So Boyce starred in Jessie from 2011 to 2015. But the sources reveal a crucial detail. The character of Luke was not originally written for him.
That's right. The initial concept had the role intended for a Korean boy named Hiro. That would have completely changed the cultural and physical profile of the character.
But the sources explained that the casting directors were so exceptionally impressed with Cameron Boyce during his audition that they chose to completely abandon the original character concept. They pivoted the entire family dynamic of the show.
They recreated the role specifically for him.
Exactly. Think about that for a second. In Hollywood, particularly for a major network series, altering the fundamental design of a main character for a single actor is incredibly rare.
It's almost unheard of.
It signals that his talent, his energy, his star quality were immediately recognized as essential to the project's success, overriding the established pre-production plan.
That degree of conviction from a casting team speaks volumes about the singular force he brought into the room, even as a young teenager. His presence was powerful enough to change the entire trajectory of a flagship Disney series.
It also required a high level of versatility, which links right back to his dance training. He needed to prove he could handle the physical comedy, the emotional beats, the rapid-fire dialogue that defines Disney Channel programming.
All of which he mastered throughout the entire run of Jessie.
And during this breakthrough period, he also expanded his portfolio into voice acting, diversifying his presence within that Disney landscape.
He took on a pretty significant lead voice role.
He did, as the title character Jake in the Disney Junior animated series Jake and the Neverland Pirates. He anchored seasons 2 and 3 of that series, spanning from 2012 to 2014. This required him to translate his natural charisma and energy solely through his vocal performance, further solidifying his status as an anchor for younger audiences.
So moving into the mid-2010s, we enter the next phase, focusing on the defining roles and the significant artistic expansion he pursued between 2015 and his final projects in 2019. If Jessie established his stardom,
then the Descendants franchise cemented his global icon status.
Absolutely.
That franchise became his defining cultural touchstone. In 2015, Boyce was cast as Carlos, the son of the iconic villain Cruella de Vil, in the musical fantasy film Descendants.
And this was a crucial role because it wasn't just acting, it was a full integration of his acting, his singing, and that sophisticated dance training we talked about.
Right. The demands of a musical fantasy film require a completely different skill set than a sitcom. These movies were high production value, centered on these elaborate musical numbers.
His foundational training in styles ranging from ballet to hip-hop must have been just invaluable in executing the choreography required for those large-scale sequences.
He committed fully to the role. He continued it across the animated shorts, Descendants, Wicked World, and in the subsequent films, Descendants 2 in 2017 and, tragically, Descendants 3 in 2019.
And that continuity speaks to his dedication and the character's popularity within the franchise. He was central to the narrative across the board.
And concurrently with this high-profile film work, he maintained a steady presence in Disney television programming, securing another lead role.
Right, in Gamer's Guide to pretty much everything.
Exactly. He starred in that Disney XD series from 2015 to 2017, where he played the lead character Connor. And for fans of his earlier work, he briefly reprised his role as Luke Ross in the Jessie spin-off Bunked in 2016 for a couple of episodes.
So he was connecting the threads of his Disney career. Now, here's where the narrative becomes especially compelling for understanding his artistic ambition. Even as he remained anchored by these highly successful, guaranteed Disney franchises, the sources indicate a determined, serious shift toward independent and adult-oriented projects in the years immediately before his passing.
And this pivot, it signals a sophisticated understanding of career longevity. I mean, so many child stars struggle to transition out of that family-friendly mold.
It's a cliche for a reason.
It is. Boyce consciously sought out roles that challenged him artistically and positioned him for critical recognition beyond the Disney brand.
So let's detail that transition, starting with his initial foray back into network programming in a more adult format.
In March 2018, he secured a major role in the ABC comedy pilot Steps, playing a character named Becker. Now, the pilot didn't go to series, but the intention to diversify his portfolio was clear.
And then later that year,
in July 2018, he was cast in the independent film Runt, where he played the lead, Cal. And indie film work, as you know, it often involves complex, character-driven storytelling far removed from family entertainment.
But the most powerful indicator of his shift toward prestige acting came early in 2019, with his casting on a major premium cable network series.
In January 2019, he officially joined the cast of the HBO limited series Mrs. Fletcher. This was a significant development.
A huge deal.
It was. He took on a series' regular role as Zack, appearing in 5 episodes. Moving to HBO signifies an explicit move toward mature themes and complex, critically acclaimed storytelling. It was a deliberate choice to redefine his image as a serious adult actor.
And beyond these traditional acting roles, the research also highlights his continuous commitment to his roots in dance, actively seeking creative control in musical projects.
That's right. In April 2019, just a few months before his death, he demonstrated his dual talent by working on the music video for Almost Sweet Music by Hozier.
And he wasn't just a performer in that, was he?
No, and the sources specify this. He wasn't just a performer. He co-choreographed the dance sequences alongside Christine Flores. This gave him an executive artistic role, proving his ability to craft a performance as well as execute it.
His creative vision also extended into the fashion and design world, evidenced by a project that was launched posthumously.
He co-founded a clothing line called Archives with designer Veronica Gray. The line was announced after his passing in September 2019, and it officially released in November 2019.
It just speaks to a multifaceted creative identity that sought expression across performance, choreography, and design. He was a young entrepreneur with a clear aesthetic vision. We must now move to the next section, focusing on the highly sensitive subject of his passing. And it is crucial that we approach this with absolute factual adherence to the confirmed medical findings, maintaining respect and sensitivity throughout.
We have to rely entirely on the official records. Cameron Boyce passed away on July 6, 2019 in Los Angeles, California. He was only 20 years old.
The sources state he was found unresponsive at his home and authorities were unable to revive him.
Yes.
The immediate initial statement from his family provided the first context for the public, clarifying that this wasn't a sudden, mysterious event, but was related to an existing health issue.
That's right. The family confirmed he died in his sleep due to a seizure which was a result of an ongoing medical condition for which he was being treated.
And while an autopsy was performed promptly, the initial cause of death on July 8 was deferred pending further investigation.
Which is standard procedure. However, the next day, the family went further to confirm that the fatal seizure was due to his diagnosis of epilepsy.
And the final definitive medical confirmation came weeks later from the Los Angeles County Department of Medical Examiner coroner.
That official confirmation was released on July 30, 2019. The conclusive findings stated that the cause of death was sudden unexpected death in epilepsy, which is widely referred to by its medical acronym SUDP.
So that conclusively verified the underlying medical issue as the cause of his sudden passing.
It did. The sources also respectfully note that following the conclusion of the medical examination, his body was cremated and his ashes were returned to his family.
Despite the tragedy, his professional output continued, which really just demonstrates how much work he had already completed. The result was a number of important posthumous releases and heartfelt dedications.
The first of these, and perhaps the most emotionally resonant for his audience, was Descendants 3. It was released less than a month after his death.
So soon.
And it was explicitly dedicated in his memory. It served as a powerful, immediate tribute to his final work in the character that meant so much to his fans.
And beyond the Disney projects, his mature acting ambitions were still realized posthumously through the release of the films and series he had completed.
Yes, the thriller film Runt, where he played Cal, was released in 2020. This was a challenging role in a serious independent film, allowing his adult artistic aspirations to finally reach an audience.
And then there was Paradise City.
Following that, in 2021, the supernatural thriller series Paradise City was released. He starred as the character Simon Ostergaard across 8 episodes.
His perspective on the industry was also preserved in an HBO documentary about the experience of childhood fame.
That's right. The documentary Showbiz Kids, which came out in 2020, featured interview footage of him reflecting on his unique upbringing within the entertainment world. It offered a final, insightful look at his maturity and self-awareness regarding his career.
And that documentary was also dedicated to him.
It was dedicated in his memory, alongside former child actress Diana Sarah Carey.
One of the most touching aspects of his posthumous legacy is the lasting acknowledgement from his earliest major collaborator, Adam Sandler. That professional relationship was clearly marked by deep affection.
The sources detailed 2 distinct and powerful tributes from Sandler's production company. The first was the dedication in the 2020 film Hubie Halloween.
And that dedication was particularly personal.
Incredibly personal, it read. In loving memory of Cameron Boyce, gone way too soon, and one of the kindest, coolest, funniest, and most talented kids we knew. You live on forever in our hearts and are truly missed every day.
The language there, it focuses so intensely on his character. kindest, coolest, funniest, rather than just his talent. It suggests a deep, almost familial bond.
Absolutely. And the sources point to an even more subtle, perhaps more emotional acknowledgement that will appear in the upcoming film Happy Gilmore 2, set for release in 2025.
What's unique about that tribute?
It's quiet and fleeting, yet incredibly heartfelt. The research confirms that there is a moment in Happy Gilmore 2 where Boyce briefly appears on a television screen showing a clip from the Disney Channel series, Jessie.
So it's a very personal, in-world nod from Sandler.
Exactly. It ensures that Cameron's memory lives on subtly within the comedy ecosystem that first championed him.
The fact that his career was not only successful, but was actively and successfully pivoting toward more respected, challenging adult roles just as he passed, it makes the tragedy exceptionally acute.
It really does.
But as powerful as his career was, the narrative would be incomplete. In fact, it would be distorted if we didn't dedicate significant attention to his profound philanthropy and enduring legacy as an activist.
This commitment to impact beyond the screen is what truly elevates his story. The sources demonstrate that his activism was relentless, deep-seated, and global in scope, which is particularly remarkable considering he was only 20.
His work with the Thirst Project serves as a powerful testament to this.
It does. Can you detail the specifics of his fundraising efforts for clean water access?
His dedication was results-driven. In 2017, he undertook a specific fundraising initiative for the Thirst Project, which works to bring safe, clean drinking water to underdeveloped communities globally.
And he was effective.
Very effective. Through his personal efforts and leveraging his platform, he managed to raise over $27,000 in a remarkably short period, just 40 days. That speaks to an intense focus and the effectiveness of his outreach.
That kind of active, high-impact fundraising left a mark that the organization chose to honor permanently.
It did. In September 2019, shortly after his passing, the Thirst Project officially renamed its Pioneering Spirit Award
to the Cameron Boyce Pioneering Spirit Award.
Exactly. This ensures that future recipients who embody that extraordinary commitment to the cause will also be celebrating his foundational work and his dedication.
And his philanthropic focus wasn't only global. He was also deeply committed to addressing critical issues in his immediate community, specifically the homelessness crisis in Los Angeles.
He was a staunch, visible supporter of United Way of America's initiative to end homelessness. He actively raised money and participated in the organization's massive annual Home Walk event beginning in 2015. This was an ongoing commitment right up until the last weeks of his life.
So he didn't just donate a check, he was physically present and involved in the public-facing events.
Precisely. In May 2019, just 2 months before his death, he participated in the opening ceremony of the 12th annual Home Walk in downtown Los Angeles. This event is one of the largest public efforts in the United States dedicated to finding solutions to homelessness, and his visible presence amplified its impact significantly.
And he also utilized his platform to advocate for several other critical, sensitive social causes, demonstrating a real breadth of concern.
The records show he worked closely with It's On Us,
which is a national movement fighting against sexual assault and promoting consent on college campuses.
Right. And furthermore, he supported the Luckstrong Foundation, which focuses its resources on providing financial grants to families whose children are diagnosed with sickle cell disease and are undergoing bone marrow transplants.
So addressing very specific and critical medical vulnerability.
His final and most personal humanitarian project, launched just before his death, feels like the clearest expression of his philosophy: wielding peace.
Wielding peace was much more than a campaign. It was a philosophy, a concept he launched in collaboration with Delaney Tarr,
a co-founder of the highly visible student-led activist organization, March for Our Lives.
Right. And what was the specific intent behind the name and concept of wielding peace?
Boyce articulated his vision very clearly. He intended the social media campaign to help fight against gun violence by showing celebrities and survivors wielding a new kind of weapon, one of unity.
The sources note that he wanted to physically replace images of firearms with symbols of peace and togetherness.
Things like flowers or guitars or books held in the same manner one might hold a weapon.
The power of that idea, actively redirecting the conversation and imagery away from conflict and toward constructive unity, became the immediate blueprint for the foundation established in his name.
Indeed. The Cameron Boyce Foundation, a nonprofit organization, was established immediately following his death in 2019. Its mission is a direct translation of his values,
which is to provide young people with artistic and creative outlets as alternatives to violence and negativity, and using resources and philanthropy to enact positive change in the world.
It's an institution dedicated to building on his proactive, positive energy, and Wielding Peace became the Foundation's flagship immediate project.
It was the very first funded project carried out by the Foundation, officially launching on August 16, 2019, shortly after the Foundation was formally established. This ensured his final, most critical humanitarian vision was realized.
And we also have a tangible example of the Foundation immediately continuing his prior work with the Thirst Project.
What specific action exemplifies that continuity?
The Foundation donated $8,000 to the First Project with the express purpose of building a well in Uganda. This action closes the loop.
Right. It shows how his philanthropic legacy immediately translated his previous commitment to clean water access into concrete, life-saving global action, powered by the structure he inspired.
So, reflecting on all the information we have carefully synthesized, from his breakthrough debut at 9 to the establishment of a philanthropic structure dedicated to his ideals at 20, the collected information reveals a young man whose professional dedication as an artist was consistently and genuinely matched by an extraordinary commitment to social change.
What's fascinating here is the sheer velocity of his impact. I mean, he wasn't just performing one demanding role. He was balancing the requirements of being a high-profile global entertainer with the rigors and moral obligations of being a deep-seated activist.
The duality of his roles, the celebrated television star versus the devoted humanitarian, it serves as an incredibly powerful example of the potential for positive influence, regardless of age or profession.
It offers a tangible framework for you as a listener to consider how any platform, large or small, can be redirected toward constructive efforts.
And as we conclude, thinking about his specific goal for the Wielding Peace campaign, where he intentionally sought to redirect imagery and focus from sources of division or violence to symbols of unity, consider the profound responsibility and power of influence that celebrity provides. His life demonstrates that even a career cut tragically short can leave behind not just memorable performances, but a robust structure, a foundation, and a clear philosophy dedicated to building a better world by utilizing those sources of unity to actively combat fragmentation.
That purposeful redirection of influence is the ultimate articulation of his legacy.
That concludes our detailed examination of the life and enduring legacy of Cameron Boyce.
Thanks for listening.